Well, hi there. I'm Diana Montford, the world's first transgender television journalist. It's on YouTube. Trust me. I'm Jurassic. I'm Methuselah's grandmother. I was born male. I became female. Or was it the other way around? No. I was born male. I became female. Yes. Don't let the haircut fool you. Anyway, my guest is the fabulous trans woman, Ms. Christina Herrera, who is the
Opportunities Coordinator.
Opportunities Coordinator for the Transgender Identity Project at the Center. The Center here in New York, the LGBT Center, which is on 13th Street, which has existed since 1983. And the Transgender Identity Project is a wonderful organization that helps trans people at every stage of trans development and of every stripe, F2M, M2F, whatever you are, to connect with other trans people, to discuss their problems in a supportive atmosphere, to network, make friends. It's a wonderful organization. I am a proud graduate of the Transgender Identity Project, and this was before Christina was with it. When Carrie Davis was the head of it. I cannot recommend it enough. If you are trans and you are in New York or are thinking of coming to New York, you must go to the center and join the Transgender Identity Project. It will change your life for the better. I swear, I promise. And now let's talk to wonderful Christina Herrera.
Thank you so much, Diana, for having me on your show. I am very fortunate to be here with you tonight and to talk to you about the work that we do at the LGBT Center on 13th Street. So currently, I'm the Opportunities Coordinator for the Transgender Programming.
What do you mean, Opportunities Coordinator?
With the Opportunities Coordinator position, I will be assisting TGNC individuals exploring career options, exploring,
That's wonderful.
Employment options.
That is wonderful. Mm-hmm. So that transgender women and men can leave the ghettoized atmosphere of sex work, beauty culture, or show business. Those are basically the three options for transgender women. Let's have some nuclear physicists transgender women,
But I do want to say that, for some individuals, sex work can be affirming, can be empowering.
I agree.
And
I myself was a dominatrix for many years, and I loved it, and I made a lot of money, and I was real happy. And then I stupidly retired to go into politics. Duh! But anyway, so yeah, I agree.
So with the work that we're doing, this is a new project that we have. We're going to be assisting community members in exploring options. We also do know that within the TGNC community, transgender, gender nonconforming communities, we have high levels of unemployment. We have high levels of homelessness and high numbers of individuals who are not accessing medical care. So with this new program...
Why is that?
A lot of it is systemic issues. It's hard for trans individuals to access opportunities. Unfortunately, we still live in a time where there is a lot of discrimination.
Yes.
There is a lot of transphobia, homophobia.
Yes.
And so individuals are not able to, access the opportunities that they would like to have. With this new program, we're going to be partnering with different sectors, with government sector. We're going to be partnering with corporations, businesses, and we're going to find community members who are, who have strengths, who want to be in the labor force. We are also going to assist them with, their housing. As we know, in New York City, it's almost impossible to find affordable housing.
Then how are you going to find affordable housing?
Well, we are going to be working with the individuals and with city agencies to identify potential housing opportunities. We are also going to be especially enrolling them with the affordable housing program that's happening because there is some housing being built.
Yes, but there's a huge waiting list. On election night 2002, I asked Gifford Miller, who had just been elected Speaker of the City Council. I said, he was in a good mood. He just won his election. It was a cocktail party. We'd all had a drink or two. So I said, Gifford, please, look, can you give us any building? Any building. I don't care how dilapidated it is. We'll fix it up. We want to start a shelter for trans women. He smiled and he said, look, Diana, I totally get where you're coming from. I respect the transgender community, but do you know how many groups are ahead of you pleading for buildings to use? Hopefully things have changed since 2002.
I believe that we have come a long way. Unfortunately, all the needs have not been met. We are continuing to work with different city agencies so that we can, have additional resources. What we are seeing is that, especially if you're a trans individual over the age of 23, it's almost impossible to find like a housing agency because a lot of the resources, and I totally get that, go to assist youth because youth are a high risk.
Like the LA4NA Center, that kind of thing.
Yes, so we want to be able to also, because everyone ages out of youth programs.
Or not. LA4NA didn't.
The organization, but
no, the man. It was named after a person who was murdered in the street.
Yes, that individual was not fortunate to be with us now, and so we're trying to help the community. We're trying to help everyone to just have better opportunities because we know that if a person has access to housing, they'll be able to get a good night's rest, and they'll be able to go look for work or be able to go and fulfill their responsibility.
Would a single room occupancy hotel be a viable option for trans people?
I believe that can be, that could be sufficient for some.
Yes.
For many years in my own personal life, I lived in a small room. I rented a room because I was, working towards my own transition, working towards my surgeries.
Right.
Back then, we didn't have, coverage through insurances.
Nothing, yes.
And so I lived in a room, and that helped me save my pennies, to get me to the next place. The reality of things is that real estate is very expensive in the city, where, there's like not a lot of places to build. So for some individuals, that might be an option. A lot of people are choosing to live in studio apartments.
Yes, naturally. So, and I mean quite expensive ones. If you want to buy a studio apartment in Manhattan, it will cost you at the very least $1 million point something. And I mean about as big as this desk. In today's world,
Yeah. And so, I'm very fortunate to be, some of the housing, the affordable housing, moderate housing, I benefited from that program. I've been able to.
Oh, wonderful! You got your place through that?
I just recently, about almost 2 years ago. So
that's fabulous.
And so, I want to be able to transfer those skills that I used to help myself to be able to access that, and other community members can also have the opportunity.
I live in an apartment that I've lived in since 1994, and I had to go and rent it, and I had to have the money to rent it, and nobody cut me any slack, and they investigated my background and all sorts of things, but I got it. I had a nice work history, and so I got it.
Right. And with the new moderate income housing and affordable income, it's not an easy process to go through. A lot of background
I couldn't afford my apartment today if I wanted to rent it now.
Yeah, it's the rents are. I got priced out of Jackson Heights.
It's trendy now.
Yeah, I got priced out, and after living over.
Have you tried Astoria?
Astoria is more expensive than Jackson Heights.
Is it really?
Yes, but I end up, I had to change boroughs. But
Brooklyn?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm in Williamsburg in the waterfront, so it worked out even better. Yeah, so.
Lucky. I'm on the Upper East Side. I'll trade you. I live near Gracie Mansion. You can have my place. I'll move.
I know. I'm very happy with it. The first stop on the L, and so it worked out even better.
Fabulous.
But, I wish I could have stayed in Queens, but things were meant to be. So So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to help our community be able to have, you know, options, to have, you know, the ability to make, you know, a decent wage,
Right.
because we see that there's a lot of unemployment, a lot of underemployment, and so we want to be able to help them connect to good paying jobs,
Yes.
because everybody should have good paying jobs, especially in the city.
Yes.
You know, 'cause
God,
it's expensive.
you can't live here if you don't.
If you don't make over $15-20 an hour, it's like you're gonna be like living in poverty.
Yes. And even if you do make 15
You can
or
pay
20
rent
right,
with that kind
exactly.
of money.
You really can't. And eat and, you know, everything.
Right. And if you add also, if you have a chronic illness or a chronic condition, it can really make the situation harder, you know?
Well, yeah, because if you make over a certain amount, you cannot get Medicaid. So, you know, you might be just like $5 over the mark, and you're excluded from all social services,
Yeah.
which makes it very difficult.
Very
you know?
difficult, yeah.
And makes people not want to enter the middle class, because if they stay poor, they get all these nice services, whereas if they work hard and rise, now all the services go away, you know?
And so what we're doing also with the our opportunities programming, the livelihood programming, is we're working with employers, potential employers, so they can be more cultural sensitive and more.
But will they take advantage of trans workers thinking, where are you going to get a job? You'll take what I give you. You know?
I believe that there will be, you know, employers that will try to take advantage, but, you know, we have city agencies that are also advocating and who are also available to take complaints.
Right.
So, you know, things are not as shady as they used to be in
That's good.
here. From what I see, there is a lot of organizations that are eager, you know, to take companies to court if they're unfairly, you know, paying their segment, different staffing and stuff. So,
what made the center want to start this program?
I believe that the center have been already working with some community members, as you mentioned, through the Gender Identity Project. We have
Yes.
been developing community members, developing leadership, but we wanted to amplify that work. We wanted to really upscale it. So we were able to partner with a couple of other resources, and we want to be able to make a huge difference in the community, because the reality of things is that people, especially trans people, need more than just HIV care or HIV prevention. People need to pay their bills. They need to have access to housing. They need to be able to have access to good paying jobs. It's like our community shouldn't have to be dependent on public assistance, which is like $215 a month, or SSI check for $600 a month.
Live
Right.
like that?
People should live with dignity. They should have good paying jobs.
Yes.
They should have their own apartment. They should have great medical care.
Yes.
And so
And
the
medical care
center-
should be a right
Exactly.
for all.
And so the center is really pushing through, and it's really making a difference, because we want to change the outcomes of our community. We want everyone to benefit from having, you know, a dignified way of living.
Yes.
And so this is a great way that we're doing. Currently, we're working with partnerships in Brooklyn. We're going to start to do our work in the Bronx, and we're helping people learn to use computers, helping them with their resumes. Because some
Yes.
people have great skills, but they don't know how to market it.
I know.
So we are going to also have career coaching, which is going to be beneficial. And so
Excellent. Absolutely. And
Yeah.
if I can volunteer to give a talk there on any subject, I'd be delighted.
Sure, yes, because we're always looking for life coach, because our community has, members who have successfully navigated life, and so we
Yes.
want, we want our community members to benefit from that, and to
Yeah.
really see that not everybody has to be living under the conditions that they're living.
Like on a cardboard slab in the street with lice and rats and God knows
or
what
being, being put in a situation where their safety is compromised.
Yeah.
Transgender individuals, transgender gender non-conforming individuals have some of the highest rates of violence against them.
Yes, yes.
And so we need to change that.
Yes.
And the way we can change that is by helping our community have decent and, great opportunities.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
And if we don't help our community, no one's going to help our community. Since, okay, now, is the city involved in this project?
Yes, we're working with different city agencies. We're providing trainings. Right now, we're partnering with the Commission of Human Rights.
Right.
And we're also developing community members, so they're actually going to different city agencies and providing trainings
Wonderful.
around, engaging with transgender, gender nonconforming individuals, because as community members start to access those employment opportunities, they need to be working in places where it's going to be safe for them to work.
Yes.
We need to work on changing the culture of people where they have a lot of, preconceived notions, a lot of bigotry and stuff.
Absolutely.
And just recently with the I'm getting a little blank up. So de Blasio signed an executive order, where he is, there's new regulation that
he has
everyone.
always been our friend. He helped us in 2001 and 2. He held hearings regarding the trans communities. Bill de Blasio has always been a huge friend of the LGBT and especially the T community. And his wife is a former lesbian, so.
So with the new
I didn't know if there were former lesbians. It's like, it used to be a Democrat, now you're a Republican. But whatever,
Yes, exactly. So with the new executive order, all city agencies have to make sure that all the public accommodations, all like
he
the restrooms.
just signed that, yes.
Exactly. And so that's like a great step in the right direction, because we still face discrimination in certain spaces. And what's great about that executive order is that it's going to come with trainings, because anybody
sensitivity training.
Sensitivity training.
1,000 years ago, we used to go to the precinct number 6 to do sensitivity training with the police because they were picking up our girls just for being trans and accusing them of being prostitutes, and the girls had no redress. If the cop said she's a hoe, she could be the Virgin Mary and she was a hoe.
And we see that there's a lot of community members that have long list of criminal records, and a lot of those records were just because they were profiled.
Exactly.
A lot of times, and this is something that I also witnessed myself in Queens, in Jackson Heights, because just until recently, the police was profiling the women on Roosevelt Avenue. And so now with this new program that, that the center has and that I'm coordinating, we're going to be helping them vacate a lot of those convictions.
Good.
Because
that marks someone, and then she can't get a job, and then she has to go on the street and be a prostitute, for which she's arrested again, and it's a revolving door,
Yeah, we want people to be able to have
And women
options.
in Jackson Heights are beaten up in the street and killed.
Yeah.
There have been many famous cases of that.
Yeah, and we just had a few assaults recently. A trans woman was just beaten on by Roosevelt Avenue and 93rd Street a few months ago, and she was in a coma for like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
And the police wasn't doing anything about it.
Many years ago, circa 1999, right in front of the center, a policeman saw a woman of color, a trans woman of color, walking across the street. He shouted at her, "Hey, come here." She crossed the street and went over, and he said, "You're under arrest." And she said, "For what?" And he said, "Come on, you're a hooker, come on." They kept her in jail for 6 days without being charged. Ask Carrie, ask anyone. It was a big brouhaha. We had to move heaven and earth to get her out. Never charged. And just kept in jail for 6 days.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I've seen many cases like that.
Yeah.
Many individuals. And the sad thing is that, when we think about trans individuals, especially transgender Latina individuals, you know how many of them were deported because of those criminal records, which a lot of them were just, officers that were looking for promotions, so they needed to get a certain quota, because back in the 90s, that was the way things worked. In early 2000, they had to meet certain quotas. They probably still have to do that now to be able to move to become detectives. And so with our new program, we're able to, address those concerns. We're able to link them to organizations that can work to help them get those arrests
like
cleared.
the Sylvia Rivera Law Project, like the
Urban Justice Center.
Exactly, the transgender
Legal Defense and Education
the Michael
Fund.
Silver place. Yeah.
Yes, so we work with them.
We've had many of their people on our show. They're advocates, they're lawyers, and they're great.
Yeah, they do great name changes. They really.
They got me a name change with Eric Holder's firm, I swear. The firm he worked at just before he became Attorney General. They got, and these wonderful female lawyers zipped it right through, and there it was.
Exactly. So, yeah, we work with a lot of organizations that help individuals meeting their needs, and so because it's more than just providing someone with condoms or health education.
Which is just really, and until recently, the cops could arrest anyone for having more than 2 condoms in her purse. Now, oddly enough, they never arrested someone like Joan Rivers for having more than 2 condoms in her purse.
Right.
But a trans woman, well,
it was, how do they call that? It's like
entrapment. Yeah. Pure and simple. I'm so glad this center is fixing. They've always tried to fix it, but now they have clout because Mayor de Blasio is a cool guy and he helps people, But they've always tried to fix it,
And we're going to continue to be dedicated to, working to meet the needs of the transgender community, because that's our goal. Everybody should have access to opportunities.
Look, we're not murderers. We put on a dress, okay? Relax, folks. I mean, they act as though we murdered a family of 17 with a chainsaw, Yeah. But anyway, now if people want to contact the center or the Transgender Identity Project, how can they?
Sure. So we're on the web at gaycenter.org. They can also call us at 646-556-9300 and connect to one of the screening counselors, and we'll help them with resources in-house, or we can also link them to services outside. As I mentioned, we work with different partners, different organizations, so we're there to meet the community's needs, wherever that's at. And we have a great programming, so no pressure. People can just connect to support, and they could, go at their own pace. If they want to learn to, learn to use computers, if they want to learn to create a resume, we'll be able to help them. If they need life coaching to help them go to their job interviews, we can support them with that. If they're just looking to, to reduce their isolation, to be able to meet new friends, we're the right place. We have a lot of programming. We have programming for youth. We have programming for adults. We have outpatient treatments if individuals are dealing with any issues around substance use. We're the best place for that. We're licensed outpatient. And cultural programming. We have a lot of fun stuff happening, like with artists and, performances. And a great coffee shop.
Yes, you do. And you can even walk in and pick up all the gay publications, which are free. They're there for you. Pick them up. Now, if you don't live in New York and you need help, can people access the center and find help in their own communities or towns or nations?
Yes, definitely. So we do have access to, national resources. There are resources in their local areas. Apart from that, we're part of the CenterLink network, which is a network of different LGBT centers throughout the country. And so we'll connect people. Yeah. So, it's like these days with the internet and, having phones and everything, so people shouldn't have to be isolated anymore.
Wherever you're living, whatever the circumstances are, connect with the center in New York via internet or smartphone or some kind of phone, and they will steer you to services within your community where you can find all that the center in New York offers, whatever's on offer near you that will help. Okay. Now, can you give the, if, let's say you're a lonely person sitting out there in a small town somewhere in the U.S. and you're watching this on your computer, what would you say to that person?
I would say not to get, to a point where you're completely helpless. There is support out there, and that there are people that care about you, and that we're here to help. And if you need, just to contact us, and we'll also connect you to services in your near area.
Yes, and as I've said before, I went to the Gender Identity Project circa 1999, learned great confidence, made wonderful friends I still have, realized that we're all more alike than we are different, and that there's a commonality to the trans experience that we all share. It's not that I was neurotic and crazy and, oh, no, we all feel weird, because we are weird, because most people think we're weird. So, whatever. But anyway, I strongly urge you to contact the center. Can you give the website one more time?
The website is gaycenter.org. And the phone number is 646-556-9300. And everyone's special. Everybody has strengths and weaknesses, but we all have a purpose here.
Yes. And my guest has been Miss Christina Herrera, who is the Opportunities Coordinator for the Transgender Identity Project. And that means that if you want a job, maybe they can help you find one. And it doesn't have to be a crappy job. It might even be a good job, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yes. And if you want further education, maybe they can help you access that. And I'm Diana Montford. This has been the Diana Montford Show. Hey, I love you, even if no one else loves you. So you take real good care of yourself. And I love you a lot, and I'll see you next time. Bye.